Hey there, CJ Math students. Welcome to homework 4.8, expanding and factoring expressions. You watch the video, you can check off here. Calculators are okay. This is due tomorrow. So if you take a look at number 1, this is how you show work. And yes, I do want to see you drawing these arrows. It helps you with the multiplication. You should have your calculator right next to you to double check it. So we just multiplied the outside term by both terms on the inside, made sure we were aware of the signs. And then we looked for like terms. In this case, there were no like terms after I distributed, so A was my answer. Remember, anytime you see subtraction, you are going to want to keep change there. Number 3, negative 5 times 4x, that is a negative 20x. And then a negative 5 times a positive 1, that's going to be plus negative 5. Some of you are like, wait, I don't see that there. Yes, we do. It's right here, plus a negative. So our answer is D. Be very careful on these answer choices. I made them look very similar on purpose. So the signs really matter. So take your time on them. Don't just say, oh, I multiplied two numbers and looks like that's my answer. Focus on those signs. There's nothing to combine here, so that's how I know it was done in answer choice D there. So number 5, I'm going to go ahead and do 10 times 8, that is 80, plus a negative there. And then I'm going to say 10 times a negative 6x, so that's plus negative 60x, and I'm going to drop down my plus 7x. In this case, I do have like terms, so I'm going to go ahead and combine negative 60 and 7. And so my answer is going to be 80 plus negative 60x plus 7x gives me negative 53x. And again, some of you are like, wait a second, I see C, I don't see negative. You do if you make sure you keep change. Again, pay very close attention to those signs. Might be a good habit right now, just to go through all the minus signs and do keep change to them. Number 7, so plus a negative there, and let's go ahead and distribute. So negative 8 times a negative b, you can treat that like negative 1. So we're going to keep this negative 4b here, plus, so a negative 8 times a negative b is a positive 8, right? Because that's just basically negative 8 times negative 1. And then a negative 8 times a positive 1 is going to be plus negative 8. So now if I go ahead, sorry, I forgot to put my b on this because it's a negative 8 times a negative b. Now I'm going to go ahead and look for like terms. I have like terms in negative 4b and positive 8b. So that's going to be 4b plus negative 8. Again, you're probably like, where's the answer? Plus negative right here. Very important on number 7, how initially I forgot the variable. I would have thought, oh, those two canceled out, and then my answer would have just been negative 4b. But because I did a negative 8 times a negative b, I need to make sure I have my variable b there, and therefore negative 4b and 8b become like terms, and that's how I get C as my answer. So if I were you, I'd pause and try and get done the even problem. So on the back side, this is more like what we're doing in class today. Basically, you're going to ask yourself 2 questions. What can I divide both by, and then what's left? So like in number 9, I said negative 6x plus 18. I can divide them both by 6. I'm with 6 divided by 6, or negative 6 divided by 6 is really negative 1, or just negative x. And 18 divided by 3 is 3. So I said 6 on the outside, parentheses, negative x plus 3. And that's how I got A. So in number 11, what can I divide them both by? I can divide them both by 5. So divide by 5. What am I left with here? I'm left with 4 and a negative x, right? Because negative 5 divided by 5 isn't really negative 1 or just negative x. So I divided by 5, so 5 goes on the outside. So 5 parentheses 4 minus x is what I'm looking for. And then make sure you close it up. And so B is your answer. If you wanted to do keep change on this, it really would not affect your answer altogether. Like it would still be B. Number 13, negative 10a plus 14. What can I divide them both by? I can divide them both by 2. So what am I left with here? Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5a. Don't forget that variable. And 14 divided by 2 is 7. So divided by 2, so 2's on the outside. 2 parentheses negative 5a plus 7. And so D is your answer choice. And lastly, 15. So plus and negative maybe there. What can I divide them both by? I can divide them both by 6, right? So 54v divided by 6, negative 54v is a negative 9v, and then negative 6 divided by 6 is a negative 1, right? So what did I divide by? I divided by 6. So 6 parentheses negative 9v plus 1. Now, negative 1. Now, some of you are saying, wait a second, I see all these negative 6's out there. Okay, fine. They decided, let's divide by negative 6. All right, what does that mean then? Then this means that this becomes a positive 9v, and this becomes a positive 1. Hence, our answer then becomes negative 6 is what I divided by 9v plus 1. Right? If they're both negative, you can divide them both by negative. So answer is D there. And lastly, I'm going to have you go ahead and make sure you fill out 17, 18, and then 19. It basically says you got this expression here. This is 5 parentheses F minus 32 divided by 9, where F equals the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Figure that out if the temperature was 86 degrees. Basically just taking 86 and plugging it in and figuring out the temperature. So we'll discuss that tomorrow. Call me if you have questions.